One of my favorite things that people who want to appear as though they have a very big brain do is talk about the insignificance of humanity and how we should be humbled by literally everything around us. And it's good to appreciate our place in the universe every once in a while, how vast it is, how ultimately fragile our brief existence. But let us not forget that as a species, we are some impressive ass motherfuckers. And we have achieved some pretty great things. We cured smallpox and the Rinderpest. We built both the Sistine Chapel and the ISS. We split the atom. We created an international instant communications network that connects everyone around the globe at all times. And we invented the Macarena. We humans have done some things. We have done some things that not everyone who just walked out of the primordial sludge could have done. But that's where the argument is. The great hubris of humanity. If some other sapient species climbed out of some other primordial sludge on some other world, we would consider them to be our equals and worth being contacted. But to a species so advanced that they can cross the vast distances between the stars, would we even register as little more than a blip on their radar? There's this grand argument that if aliens ever came here from another system, they just wouldn't give a shit about us. We would be to them what ants are to us, barely worthy of being acknowledged. Which is, sort of strange, considering that there is such a thing as myrmecology. What is myrmecology, you might ask? Well, it's hundreds, if not thousands, of some of the smartest people that society has to offer at all times, spending vast amounts of resources and decades, if not centuries, of combined time to the study of ants. Myrmecology is the study of ants. We have buildings on university campuses where brilliant scientists dedicate their entire lives to studying ants. I mean, sure, they're ultimately only a very small sliver of the population, but if you met a myrmecologist at like a cocktail party and you talked to them about their job, you wouldn't tell them that what they do is insignificant and stupid. Unless, of course, you're an asshole. Please explain to me how aliens, with all their relative superiority, should be any different. Because yes, we humans destroy huge things as part of our recklessness, but it's not like we don't give a shit. Aside from like a small handful of individuals, we don't actually want to destroy this beautiful planet that we're on. When there's a bee in your room and it's hitting its head against the window because it wants to get out, what do? Sometimes you're gonna leave it be. Other times you're gonna, dedicate some time and effort to help it get back out there into the world where it belongs. Once again, unless of course you are an asshole. We put vast resources into protecting and conserving life forms that are ultimately on the sliding scale our lessers, and we don't have to do that. We want to do that. We want to do it because we recognize how special and fascinating they are in their own way.
But Burger, if aliens come to Earth, would they even be able to recognize that there's intelligent life here?
I'm sorry, are these aliens very stupid? Even if they come from an environment vastly different to our own, when they come to the system, Earth is gonna stand out from the other planets. There's enough of a statistical anomaly in Earth and the way it behaves that probably at least one of them's gonna go, huh, that's interesting. I don't know if you know this, but like space stations and satellites and skyscrapers and all the other things like that, they don't really form through natural physical processes, and one would assume that hyper-intelligent aliens would also be aware of this fact. I mean, sure, the ship that they send here might be crewed exclusively by relative idiots. After all, not every single human can spot an anthill or a beehive before accidentally destroying it. though generally after destroying it, we will notice that there was something there before. If you're an alien trying to gather resources, it might be that you don't immediately realize that there is actually fairly complex life on that third rock from the sun. At least you might not notice straight away. There's an argument to be had if a spacefaring civilization could ever actually be this dumb, but that's a discussion for another day. But at least we have the comfort of knowing that they would go, God, Jesus Christ, not again. I nuked another I should have looked. Honestly, my fault, sorry. And some of you might say, oh well, yes, Burger. Maybe they recognize us as sapient life. That could be the case, and maybe under different circumstances, they would have studied us, or maybe done like a nature preserve. However, they're here to gather resources, so much like we would get rid of an anthill that is in front of the mine entrance, they are going to dismantle the Earth. No. First of all, there are a lot of species of animal where if you want to build the house extension and you notice, oh no, they live there, you're not allowed to build the house extension you wanted because they are protected by law. But depending on how much value aliens give on, say, the uniqueness of life, they might not give a shit. The much bigger argument for why aliens are probably never going to come by to dismantle Earth is thus. Imagine you want a piece of cheese, yes? You could get up out of your chair, you could go to the refrigerator, you could open the refrigerator, take out the piece of cheese, and eat it. Or you could get out of your chair, put on your whole winter gear, get in your car, drive 5 towns over to the local cheesemonger, wait in line for 15 minutes, realize you forgot your cash, drive back to the ATM, which is 2 towns over, get your cash from the ATM, drive back to the cheesemonger, wait 15 minutes in line again because this is a very good cheesemonger, then you get your cheese, then you get to drive home, put away all your winter gear again, sit down in your chair and eat the cheese. Which of these two options sounds more convenient to you? It's a hassle to get shit out of a gravity well, is what I'm trying to say, especially if there's also a lot of atmospheric drag. And it's a hassle that you don't have to deal with because all of the stuff that you might find down on that planet is also just floating around in space in much more copious quantities. You just need to go there and grab it. And if you really insist on mining planets, the solar system is full of planets that have like the same level of resources as Earth, if not more resources than Earth, and they don't have such a strong gravitational field and less of an atmosphere. And the very few things that you might be able to find on Earth that you can't find on other places in the solar system, you could just easily manufacture from base elements that you can get from anywhere. As a matter of fact, it's not unreasonable to assume that if aliens ever come to visit the solar system and they want to come here to get resources, they'll not even touch any of the planets or the asteroids. They'll just put a big magnetic pump around the sun and lift mass off of the suns just straight up and then leave. Now, if they do this a lot, we also will get problems on account of the sun being, drained away. And if life is somewhat rare in the universe, once again, there's a good to fair chance that they'll just do some minor thing that'll help us survive, much like you would open your window to let the bee out. Because if you have these godlike powers, why assume that you would use them to be a dick? It is, of course, at the end of the day, completely fruitless to imagine what aliens might think like because we've never met any. There's no frame of reference for this. However, because they would destroy us because they wouldn't care because we're so insignificant narrative is so prevalent in the zeitgeist, I wanted to sort of offer a counter-narrative to that. My favorite interpretation of this is when like hippies with dreads who go, oh yeah, world peace and all that shit, go, oh, the aliens would come here and just eradicate humanity because humanity's like a cancerous growth on the planet and it destroys the environment. Because that is the same way we deal with ants who change the environment around them, or bees We deliberately destroy them for some moral reasons that they can't understand, right? Oh no, wait, we actually don't do that at all. We consider the behavior of these creatures to be natural and part of the ecosystem. And the arbitrary line we draw between the actions of humanity and the actions of bees is ultimately exactly that. Arbitrary. At the end of the day, the way that people think aliens would behave if they ever came here tells you a lot more about the person you're speaking to than it will give you more like cool insight into how an alien species might think. Thank you very much for watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe, share this to your relevant communities, but do not spam them. I very much appreciate you all being here. Consider supporting me on Patreon or Subscribestar, buying some of this beautiful merchandise that I have behind me, but no pressure. And in that spirit, yeah, it's a cool thought experiment to consider what aliens would do, okay? It's cool, but like, nobody really knows, and we're not gonna know until they're here. Or maybe we're never gonna know, because maybe there is no one out there. It's statistically unlikely, but things which are statistically unlikely happen all of the time. And see you around, cunts.